Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Drunk Dutchman, and I want to just give you guys a big shout out. Hello, and thanks for been listening to me. If you have, please spread the word to your friends that might be interested in hearing what I have to say. I know there's a lot of people that don't care what I have to say, but there are a few people out there that would actually benefit from what I'm thinking. And these are strictly my opinions. I'm not getting from anybody else any information, not necessary to, because the current state of things, like our political system and some of the other things that are going on, media and all that kind of stuff. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So there's plenty of context, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I am always open to opinions, and I'm always open to ideas. And I'm going to start today by giving my brother and my sister-in-law a big shout out for a great weekend, celebrating my sister-in-law's conquering battle of um, cancer, breast cancer. She came through it without too much injury or scars, if you will. And she's doing great. And we were down in Florida celebrating not only her birthday, but the fact that she has gone into remission and is clear of any residual issues with the cancer treatments that she went through. So I want to again thank my brother and my sister-in-law for inviting us to celebrate all those wonderful occasions with some friends that we hadn't seen in a while, and the opportunity to make new friends. Thanks again to you guys, and appreciate you for thinking about us. Also, I just wanted to follow up on my last thing that I put up about the book bans and parenting and that kind of thing. I'm still not going to back down from that, because it's still up to the parents to raise their children and to instill the ideals and the virtues that you have into your children so that they can grow up to be viable citizens. Now, with the book ban thing, I, again, don't personally think that book bans should be anywhere, because that's a violation of our First Amendment right for free speech and free expression. And we should be able to enable that and embrace that at all turns. You may not like the content, but you know what? Not for nothing, but your kids are going to find out about it anyway, so they might as well read about it. But as I was thinking about it after I posted my last video, there are ways, because I remember when I was a kid, when we were in elementary school and parts of junior high school, we had sections of the library that, as we progressed through our aging and maturity levels, we were allowed to go into certain areas of the library. The little kids, starting first graders, we had a certain section we were allowed to go through, and again, based on your reading comprehension and all that kind of good stuff. But age appropriate type things, and the libraries were segmented out. Okay, you went to the library, kids that are under a certain age could go to this section, kids between this age and this age could go to this section. And as you got older and as you got more mature, and as we got more educated, not only reading wise, but comprehension of what's going on around us. And of course, we always had our friends to help us out with some of that stuff, and that wasn't always a good idea either. But that being said, the library was segmented out, and I haven't been in a library in a long time. I do my digital reading. I look online for a book if I want to read it, and I'll buy it from Barnes and Noble, or I'll buy it from Amazon, or whatever the case it may be. But I don't go to the library that often anymore, so I don't know if it's still laid out that way. But there's an idea for the schools and for the libraries around that they can go to, and implement something like that, so that your kids are not exposed to something that you don't feel is either morally or age appropriate for the children to be looking at or reading about. And as I said, you're not going to stop it, because with everybody having one of these in their hands, so they get access to whatever they want. So, and if you don't pay attention, which again comes back to the parenting thing, you're going to not know that they're already learning about it. So, and they're going to have questions. And if you're not ready for that, you better think about how you want to handle that. Because like I said, even I look at my grandkids who are 6, 10, and 12, or 13 rather, sorry, but they're constantly looking at their phones. They're constantly going to YouTube. They're constantly going to TikTok and all that kind of stuff, and they're getting their information wherever they can get it from. And if you're not ready for those questions, they're going to pop up. And you better make sure that you're ready for it, and you can preempt it by instilling your values and your virtues to your children, so maybe that they don't look at those things. But whatever, that is their, that's the way they learn nowadays. So anyway, to the real topic that I'm calling about today is that I can't be the only one that feels that I've been lied to, not only by the media, but by the government. And it goes back, in my opinion, when the Obama administration was implementing the CARE Act, the Affordable Care Act, which is a joke and a half. And Nancy Pelosi very proudly said that if you want to know what's in the bill, you got to pass it to get the information. And that has turned into somewhat of a disaster because, it's not only not affordable, which is a misnomer, but it's not great healthcare. And even if you wanted to, it carries certain things that maybe are a little bit helpful, like your hospital stays if you have an emergency thing, but your everyday care of going to, the doctor for your checkups and your blood work and your physicals and so on and so forth. I'm not sure that all of that is being covered under that. The other part of that is that the fact that they are mandating the fact that everybody has to have health care. Well, I'm sorry, but my tax dollars can be better spent than getting the crackhead that's living under a bridge, or a prostitute that's hanging out on a corner of one of the city streets, because I'm pretty sure that they're not getting, their health care and running around with a card saying, I've got health care, I've got health care. We're paying for that. And that's a waste of our money. That's a waste of our time. I know there's a lot of people that don't even have car insurance. So the fact that you're mandating this is ridiculous. And that's kind of where I'm thinking that, hey, it's not the only thing that they're mandating, and we're being lied to about things. The COVID thing, there's a lot of people out there that say it was a conspiracy and so on and so forth. But you know what? As an adult, we make decisions, and sometimes they're not always appropriate. And the fact that everybody was running around shaming people that didn't want to go and get masks and didn't want to be vaccinated and that kind of thing, by saying, oh, well, then you're just as bad as a murderer, or you're going to get everybody sick and you're going to kill people and so on and so forth. Well, I was brought up, if you don't feel well and you're not feeling great, you stay home. You don't go out in public. If you're feeling okay and you got no symptoms and you're doing, whatever, just because you sneeze doesn't mean that you're going to have COVID, because we were lied to about that too. The whole 5-foot distance thing, that was a joke. You go into a restaurant, when we were allowed to go into the restaurant, because again, they were telling us we weren't allowed to do this because you're going to spread the virus. I'm kind of fed up with being told what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do by the government. But that's another issue I'll touch on a little bit later. But the idea that we've been lied to about that whole incident, and it's now coming out, that Fauci's information wasn't always 100%, and that, the virus wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was, and with full disclosure, I did get both vaccines, and that's simply because our governor here in New Jersey wasn't letting anybody travel, and I have a summer place in Maine, a son that lives in Virginia, and we weren't allowed to visit our grandkids, and we weren't allowed to go to our place in Maine because we weren't allowed to leave the state of New Jersey because we were being quarantined to protect ourselves. I don't need somebody protecting me. That's just the fact. I don't need anybody telling me that I don't have enough common sense, that if I'm not feeling well, I don't go out. And if I do go out, I don't go around hugging and kissing everybody. And I'm certainly not going to, try to do anything to try to harm my friends and my family intentionally. That's a bunch of nonsense. And then we come to the current situation where, the Democrats were screaming, nobody's above the law, and Trump is bad, and he's going to be bad for democracy, and this is terrible, and he's going to tear everything down, and he's going to destroy the country, and this and that, and so on and so forth. Well, it turns out that we've been lied to by them. Everybody saw what was going on with Biden and his health. He was deteriorating faster than the ice caps, if you will. So You can't tell people they are not seeing what they're seeing. That's just the facts. If you're seeing a guy that can't even put together three sentences in a row without making some kind of a blunder, then that's a problem. And he's supposed to be the leader of the free world. The other part of that is Kamala couldn't tell us what she was doing. So the whole things were everything lied to about, and he wasn't going to pardon his son. And then they pushed him out of office, which is probably the most undemocratic thing they could have done, because if that's not a shot at democracy, I don't know what is. That a duly uh, elected official gets run out like that, unceremoniously told, "Well, you're not our person anymore." I mean, it's all, again, we're being lied to. What else have we been lied to? It to me is just unbelievable that people are buying into it, and they're believing everything that they see on the media. And like I said, with Biden pardoning his kid, he said he wouldn't do that because nobody's above the law. Well, apparently there are people that are above the law. It's the old adage that the rules are for you and not for me. It's just ridiculous. But yet we let it happen. We continue to let it happen. We continue to have people telling us what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. And if you don't think that that is an assault on our democratic republic, then you really need to do some more thinking about. And when they started throwing names around that Donald Trump is going to be an oligarch, well, we are walking a very, very thin line between our democratic republic and what an oligarchy is. Okay, and the definition of an oligarchy is a government by the few, powered powered by accepted by a small group of privileged group of selfish and corrupt people. That's the definition. And we are on the edge of that because we have a total of 546 people that are telling us, as the electorate and the constituency of these people, what, where, how, and when we're allowed to do stuff. And that is not a democratic society. That is not a democratic republic. That is an oligarchy. And we are that close to being similar to Russia, China, Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea. We are that close. And if we don't stand up as a country and do something about it, we are going to fall into that trap. And when we had this past election, obviously people were not happy with the way things were going. And that's why Donald Trump got voted in. And again, disclosure, I did not vote for Harris. I did not vote for Trump. I don't think either one of them, in my personal opinion, could run a lemonade stand. Now, were we better with things going on when Trump was in office, other than the COVID stuff? Yeah, things were pretty good. Everybody was making a little bit more money. We weren't at war with people without being individually involved. We were there by proxy in 2 wars. We weren't in any wars then. We are now. Other thing, the economy was, people could afford things. As I mentioned earlier, I have a summer place in Maine, and when I could go up to Maine on a tank and a round trip for about $60, now it's like $160, $170 to go round trip to Maine. And I have a Jeep. It's not like I have a huge gas guzzling vehicle. I mean, it's pretty good on mileage. I mean, when I fill up my tank, I can go 500 and some odd miles on a full tank of gas. So it's not something that's, not economical when it comes to that. And I can go, like I said, I can go there and back and a little more than a full tank of gas. And it costs me round trip that about $160 now to go up there. So, it's just gotten to the point where we really need to put our foot down as a people, unite behind somebody to get everything straightened out and get back to what we realize is what our values should be and where we should be. And, stop sniping at each other. Stop with the nonsense with, well, you're just a bad person because, you want the ice caps to melt. Well, you know what? Not for nothing, but if you want the ice caps to stop melting, stop throwing shit in the ocean, because take a glass of water, throw a couple of rocks in there, see what happens. The water levels get high. When the water levels get high, they warm up quicker. When they warm up quicker, that's when the ice cap starts melting. Do a little science, do a little history. Common sense dictates that, if what we're doing with the environment is not it. Or, you know what? Stop eating trees. How about stop cutting down the forests in Brazil and the rainforests in other areas of the country that are supplying us with the oxygen that we need in the clean air? And not only that, if you can get China, Russia, India, Pakistan, all the Middle East countries that are just belching carbons into the sky, well, you know what? Then maybe we can talk about that things are bad. So, because we are probably the cleanest environment right now that we've had in probably century. So stop with that nonsense too. One more thing that we're being lied to, and the EV cars are not as economical. They're a pain in the ass to get to fixed. They're burning down people's houses because of the batteries. If you have a problem with the car, you got to send it in. I have a mutual friend of my wife, that her boss had an electric car, and something was wrong with it. He took it in. It was a year and a half before he got the car back, and they still didn't fix it. So don't tell me that that's economical. Not to mention the fact the manufacturing of those cars is about 7 times more harmful to the environment than it is to build a combustion engine vehicle. Again, it's where you have to look and do your due diligence. Stop listening to the nonsense, because it's turning out that they're lying to you left and right, and more so, and more heavily. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end my little segment today. If you want to check me out, it's drunkdutchman.com. You can find the videos and previous videos there with links to YouTube, X, TikTok. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so you can find all the previous videos there. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something from it. As always, comments are welcome. Please try to keep them a little bit civilized. I can take criticism, but there's no reason to call me or my family out. And if you got an issue with me, that's fine. We can talk about it. But, there's a spot there where you can put a comment in if you liked it, if you didn't like it, and what you didn't like. I'm always willing to learn. And as I said, this is a learning process for me. And hopefully I'm getting a little bit more clear and a little more succinct to get to my point in this whole thing. So anyway, you all have a great day. God bless you all. And let's keep plugging away, and let's keep hope for the best. All right. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy.